So hello, Business English 1 students. Here we are again. Hopefully you're staying safe and keeping isolated. The subject matter this week combines several different elements. We have offers and sales flyers. More or less the entire unit where for the material that was posted is about communications with potential customers. Now, when it comes to offers, I've just posted additional notes on the Facebook page addressing what components offers generally have, especially those which have been asked for, some vocabulary that you want to be familiar with, and then sales letters, which are more actively seeking new customers, and finally sales flyers. So while these are all similar in that they're trying to reach customers, there's a main difference in the specific offers, and we'll establish that first. We say solicited versus unsolicited. Generally, when it comes to solicited offers, these are offers that have been asked for. In essence, these are a reply to an inquiry. And because of that, then the components that they have, which are in the notes I've just posted, more or less parallel the questions that one would ask in an inquiry. So it's kind of like a direct answer to an inquiry. Unsolicited offers are sales letters, more or less. And these go out, they're more formal than sales flyers, although they're kind of similar. The difference is that sales letters are indeed letters, and it's a much more targeted approach to potential customers with a lot more writing and more detailed description of what the business is seeking. So I also posted some notes on those, like why you would send them. So creating new business contacts, getting new customers, reaching new markets, or setting the stage for a representative to revive inactive accounts, those who used to be good customers but don't seem to be purchasing anymore, or to inform customers about special opportunities. And often it's a combination of these, sometimes all of them at once practically. So then we had our focus, and that's where most of my commentary is going to lie today. That's the sales flyers. And the first part of that is on page 30, which in your books, which I had, you'll actually page 33. And we had this flyer. So there are some criteria here that are established, and we mentioned these criteria, much of this criteria mirrors what you would want to consider that we posted, or that I posted earlier this week. So sale flyers should be clear, simple, and easy to understand. They should have contact information. They should be visually interesting. They should have some catchy language if possible. You want to think carefully about the visual layout and how you space things so that the most important items are noticeable. And generally, when you think about the criteria, this could be colors, size, what font, what type of font, whether it's cursive or italicized or bold, which things are in big letters, which things are in small letters, what kind of colors are used for those fonts, what pictures or images are you going to include, how are you going to orientate those images and wording around the page, and of course there are things like shape. Do you want it two-sided? What is the size of the flyer itself? So here we don't have even things like quality of paper. And here in the sample that's in the book, we don't actually have that. We just have one look at one side of a flyer and no, let's say, tangible way of measuring it. But for me, it's a pretty poor flyer. There are good things. They have contact information. We have some alliteration that's kind of catchy, like Sullivan Summer Sun Savers. I kind of like that. But there's not much information here, and so if you're thinking about how are they going to grab the public's attention with this, then if you're talking about book your Greek summer holiday before the end of April, it's good that they have a discount, but it's not outlined or bold or emboldened or underlined any different than the language around it. And the image, this could be because of the printing, but the image is pretty poor. This is not like, ooh, I need to go there. I see an old couple drinking coffee on a porch, a white-ish, slightly attractive building, and I barely see the sea or the islands behind it. So this would not make me think ooh, I need to go there. And because I don't think it's a very effective flyer. Now, normally, to practice this in class, I hand out flyers. So every year, I go to like the tourist bureau here in Novi Sad, or I collect flyers in the days ahead, and then I pass them out. And each one of us analyzes a flyer according to these criteria that we've just talked about. We can't do that in this format, but I do want you to do that. So to critique one flyer before you go about making your own. So it would be best if we could all analyze our own flyer. Since that was impossible and I can't post 20 different images, and I can't possibly hand them out, then I actually posted several flyers in two pairings. So there were two flyers regarding pizzerias and two flyers for hostels. So your homework is to offer some commentary on those, and that's part of and we can all have different reactions. And a flyer that might be attractive to somebody, which is unattractive to somebody else, hopefully you're going to reach the public that you want to reach. I'll offer my commentary on these flyers. You should have that in written form, and that should be submitted as part of your task journal. So before I go any further with this commentary, let me just address that. Your task journal this week assignment is to have a brief analysis of this pair of flyers, which are the pizzerias, and this pair of flyers, which are the hostels. That should be submitted in writing at the end of the semester. Then you are to create your own flyer. So your own flyer has to be an actually visually designed flyer. So whether you use a computer program or you hand draw it, you have to design a flyer for your particular business. And there are some particular requirements that I also posted, like you have to have a discount. It has to involve a particular product. Of course, you have to have the basic info and contact information. The rest of it is up to you. But you have to design a flyer that you think would successfully communicate some kind of special deal for your special business to the public. That's part one, the design of the flyer. Part two is that for every decision you make, you have to justify it and describe it. So this is the part that students often forget to do, but it's even more important than the visual presentation. Like, we're not artists, we're not at art school, but we still can think about what might be attractive. We're English students, and so the English description of our choices is actually worth more points than the flyer itself. So you need to describe why you chose that color, why you chose that size, why you chose these words, why you chose these images. Every decision that you make regarding the creation of that flyer should be documented and described. So that's your assignment this week. And hopefully by commenting on these flyers, it'll give us, a bit of experience and a bit of know-how in how to go about doing that. So I'll start with the flyers that I think are more easily judged, the pair of flyers, and that is this flyer versus this flyer. So these are the pizzeria flyers. One thing that's immediately noticeable is two things are very immediately noticeable. This is bigger than this. All right. So that's probably an advantage, but it costs more to print. But is in terms of effect on the public, I think this communicates its message better in that respect. It's just bigger. This is easier to carry. This is easier to remember. This is in color, and this is not. So this is a shiny paper, which is brighter and a finer quality, and this is, well, pretty nice to touch. It's not basic paper. It's weaker than this, and this is more like a cardboard structure, so it's going to last longer. If you put it up on a fridge, it can stay there for a while without being destroyed in a pocket or by an easy ripper falling down. So generally, between these two, for me, this is the clear winner. What this is lacking, generally, is what I know about this is contact information is clear. I have a number. I know that they do delivery. I have the logo. I have the address. I have the working hours. There is promotional pricing for these particular items. And then on the back, you have the more it's not a wide menu, but it gives some of the basic options and the prices. So some of that basic information is there, and I think that's communicated fairly clearly. What I think is quite poor in this flyer is it just visually is extremely boring. It's black and white. Like, if you want to make people order food, then you want to make that food appear attractive, right? So this is kind of the opposite of that. There is not a single image of food. There is not any kind of color to create connections between food and culture. Like here it says Pizzeria Mala Italia. Well, then you could use some Italian colors, like, you know, the flag, for example, reds, greens, things that make you think of Italy, basil, tomatoes, whatever it is, it's not here. So, it's fairly lacking in its visual orientation. It's not dynamic at all. It's just, here's a logo and list, list, list. So, I think this fails for the most part in communicating its message. This one, Pizzeria Maciak, is much clearer. Its logo is pretty weak, and it's kind of this gray-brown color, and that's not very clear. It does stand out against the black background, as does the number for delivery, and that makes up a big part of its deal. So you have that on both sides, actually. Both of these are two-sided flyers. Here you have a lot more dynamism. You have appetizing looking pizzas of various kinds, some with meat, some with olives. So you have images on this side, you have images on this side, you have like a cartoonish image with some like pepperoncini and tomatoes, which you would equate with Italy, more attractive ingredients on a different pizza. So I have 3 images of 3 different pizzas. That's a good thing. They have a wider menu. And since this is a pizzeria, they really only focus on the pizza, which kind of makes sense. They may have other items, but this is more about the pizza. So, additionally, they have multiple sizes. They use different colors to differentiate between those two sizes. They even have little pictures of the pizzas themselves with the sizes attached. So, they also have in white standing out against the black what sizes these pizzas are, if they're particularly different, a slice, and how much delivery costs. So generally, I think this works. They prioritize the information with colors, and they put attractive images in the background and in smart places, so it doesn't like cut off this information, but it still allows you to see the pizza. With the hostels, I think it's a little bit more hard to say, you know, this is obviously better, this is obviously worse. For me, if I had to choose, I would go with this one. One reason is that if you are a hostel and you're trying to reach an audience, then you're likely providing accommodation for people who are visiting that city, not who live in the city. And so things like maps can be very helpful. So this has the map, but most people who are visiting a city aren't going to be familiar with every street name. But the street names are on here, and particularly the location on the particular street. Also, I think the images are better quality and more attractive. So while this hostel could eventually be more expensive, but it's Zlatna Greda, and they use gold. That makes sense. So you can see the furnishings. It's not just, you know, beds in a row. You have various kinds of rooms, and for each room, you have a bit of language added in. It's a bit obscure there, but it's quite clear against whatever background it is because it's white. They also, if you're going to go with gold, then I think green is a pretty natural pairing. You're going for a little bit more luxurious look and a comforting look, and so green combined with gold I think gives both luxury and comfort. It also matches the decorations in the images that they provide, and you have some more images in the back. The images on the front are a little bit more clear, but you get the greens, the golds, the browns, the orange is kind of a harmonious color, and you get information clearly posted. The name is most important. The map tells you where they are. They have some welcome stone in here. I don't think that's terribly effective, but, you know, and it's not it doesn't stand out very well, but that's the back side. You also have the information in green that clearly stands out. You have the logo. So for me, having the information that's really important in the center and the images surrounding it also makes sense visually for me. It's not the most dynamic thing, but, you know, people aren't here. People probably trying to find a hostel, honestly looking for a club. They're looking for a place to stay, and this gives a sense of comfort. I think this goes with a different look. This kind of orange-white is a little bit boring. I don't think it gives a sense of, as strong a sense of comfort, but it is mild, so like, yeah, I could sleep there, right? It's not great. They are reaching out to the international audience, I suppose, which are a lot of people who might come here, by putting all of these different flags here. And they do have information, which is opposed to this one, and that's a big weakness here. This is only in Serbian. This is Serbian, and this is English, so I think that's good. There are some mistakes in the English, which is not a good thing. There is no map. The images are quite small and a little bit blurry on this particular flyer, but not unattractive. They kind of softly end here in kind of blurry fashion, which I think is a little bit weak in terms of contrast. But they have a decent description. And much of the important information is offset in black, which stands out against the background, you know, what they have to offer. I think their contact information off to the side could be more clearly posted, but it's there. And but unlike this other one, they are lacking much of the more modern approach of using, you know, Facebook, Twitter, and other, you know, symbols that are more relevant. So that's basically what you want to do when you describe these, is think about the choices that they made, what criteria they've used. Here they're clearly the same size, same shape, so that's not different. But in the end, if I were handed one, I would say I'm going to go with this one because almost everything is just a little bit better. Oh, this one's not bad. But if I spoke English, I'd probably go with this one because it's in English. So language is another thing to consider. So hopefully you're making progress on your assignments, and they're due at the end of the semester. But you would want to have the commentary plus your own sales flyer plus the commentary and description of how you made that flyer. So I'll be posting new material on Monday. There will be another assignment. In the meantime, good luck, stay healthy. And for those students in academic writing, video will be coming also later today. All right, that's it. Bye.